Police officers and first responders wear badges to let their communities know they are here to protect and serve. But it comes at a price. Samantha Horwitz and John Salerno work with police departments across the country to bring valuable recovery, insight resources, and workshops. A Badge of Honor TV brings those professionals to you so we can come together and revitalize communities through a better understanding of what's at stake and what's required for repair. So take a load off and turn up your TV. It's about to get real.
Hey, welcome to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam on this Mental Health Monday. We are powered by the OBBM Network, and you can catch us on any of your favorite streaming platforms. Today, we are going to be doing part 2 of Seeking the Truth about 9/11. You know, Sam, there are so many theories and conspiracy theories and falsehoods, but you know what? The guys that we are having on today have done due diligence for many, many years. They have a lot of factual stuff, and people, you know, some of the public can play it any way they want, but these you can't really change the facts about what these guys have uncovered. So I am so looking forward for part 2 of Seeking the Truth about 9/11.
Yeah, and you know, yesterday for a lot of people who tuned into the Charlie Kirk's celebration of his life, there were 3 overarching themes that were talked about. It's truth, it's justice, and it's accountability. And we are 24 years past 9/11, and we're well beyond the truth part. We want the truth. We deserve the truth, not only for the brothers and sisters that we lost, but for their families. They deserve the truth. And the real crux of, you know, John and I bringing this forward, and there will be a part 3, is to demand that the current administration open a new investigation into what happened, because we know with our own eyes and listening, you're going to hear a firsthand account. We're going to focus on 7, a firsthand account of what he saw, which was not the narrative that we were told. So again, sit back, because we're going to blow up the narrative again. And after tonight, please do your own research. You know, it's all about everybody coming together, but be knowledgeable. And Erik's back with us from Firefighters from 9/11 Truth, and he'll be telling everybody what resources they can go to start your own journey and draw your own conclusions. So without further ado, we are going to bring for Rick Bylicki and Erik back from last week. If you missed last week, go back after the show. You can catch up by listening to part 1. So Erik and Rick, welcome back. Welcome, Rick, and Erik, welcome back to A Badge of Honor TV. Rick, we're going to start with you and your bio. Tell everybody watching and listening a little bit about you.
Hi, my name is Rick Bylicki. I was an NYPD sergeant, detailed out of the New York City Police Department to 7 World Trade, which was the Office of Emergency Management. I do have a little bit of a fire background. I was the local fire chief in my town and fire commissioner, and I was a medic for quite a few years. So I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. So.
Well, you definitely have a lot. Well, you, me, and John, all being at 7 World Trade at different times that day. Rick, you early in the morning. I was trying to get to my office, made it to the lobby at 7, and John, you responded after 7 came down.
Before I'm thinking Rick was an OEM, man. I'm missed out on a big hook.
Well, there you go. Before we get into, you know, the meat of that, Erik, please tell everybody watching and listening on their favorite podcast app about your background and how you came to found Firefighters for 9/11 Truth.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, John and Rick. It's an honor to be here with you. It's just to help your listeners, like, this is a moment in history. Three people that were there on that day. It's incredible, like bringing more people together that are able to talk about what actually happened. I wasn't there. I came in the weeks following. So I was working for Seattle Fire at the time. And at that point, I think I'd had 12 years in emergency services and most as a firefighter. And what would I say? I believe the official story for years. You can see my background on the last episode, but I wanted to go out there and help, like all of us did. And the FEMA team I was on was not called up. Our other team was called up. So I went out on my own dime with guys to support however we could. And then it was years later, I aggressively defended the official story. And then years later, something happened. I shared more on the last one, but where I had to look at it again. And once I did, I realized, oh, this isn't what I thought. And once I went into it more and more, I realized that this has to be talked about. We need to bring it up because the fire service didn't change anything after this collapse. Most firefighters don't even know about Tower 7. So once I did that was in 2008. And now the rest has just kind of been unfolding slowly, but now we're getting steam. So it's an honor to be here, and thank you.
That is great. Why don't we do this? Why don't we take our first break? We'll come back, have a barking dog, and we will pick up with getting into, like you said, most people don't know that another World Trade Center building came down. So we will talk about that as soon as we come back from break. Stay tuned, everybody.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Hey, you just saw the commercial. It's super easy to switch. Go to patriotmobile.com/badge. And right now you get a free month of service. That means you get to try out Patriot Mobile. When you call, you get an American-based mostly Texas-born crew that is there to help you out. If you want to call, it's super easy, 972-PATRIOT. Tell them a Badge of Honor sent you with our promo code BADGE. Now back to the show.
Welcome back. We were talking with Erik Lawyer and Rick Bylicki. Rick, you worked in Building 7 OEM with the NYPD. Erik, you were a Seattle firefighter. Erik, what you said about the narrative in the very beginning, like most, if not all, of our first responders and the American citizen and the public believed the narrative that was being dealt to us. But behind the scenes, there was a whole smoke and mirror program going on, and we just didn't know what to believe. Just like the media, they put out something and we believe it. But until these truths are uncovered, which you guys are doing with stated facts and interviews with firefighters and police officers that were on the scene, we are looking at a different picture.
Absolutely.
So
yeah,
Rick,
go ahead, John.
Rick, you got to your office in Building 7 at 6:30 in the morning. Normal day, correct? Like any other day?
More or less a normal day. Got there around 6:30. One of the things I was assigned to OEM, detailed out of NYPD to the Mayor's Office of Emergency Management. My immediate boss was Captain Rich Rotans from FDNY, and there was quite a few days we would travel in together. On that day, as we're walking into Building 7, a couple of things we were kind of surprised at. One of the things, very few cabs in the area. Normally it's It's very bustling with yellow cabs all over the place. The second thing is I was there for quite a bit prior to that day, and the fruit guy wasn't there. Now, Christmas, New Year's, it doesn't matter what day, the fruit guy didn't show up that day. All right. The coffee guy wasn't there. That was very odd. And there again, didn't make a difference what holiday it was. Both carts were not there. And they used to be right in front of 7 World Trade Center. So we were doing a citywide drill the following day. We were using all the recruits, rookies, whatever you want to call them, people in the academy, because anthrax was the hot item of the week. So we had a plan to medicate as many people as possible. We were going to use Skittles or gumdrops or whatever we were going to use to see how many people per hour. And like I said, the storm of the week was because they had a couple of anthrax incidents in the train stations or the subway system. So the mayor wanted a plan in place where we can literally give out thousands of antidote within minutes, hours after the attack. So we were, myself and my boss were up in 7 World Trade, which was the 23rd floor. And I guess the first hit, the first plane came right over our building. And it hit the North Tower. So the North Tower was hit. We had floor-to-ceiling windows. And, all we saw was millions of pieces of paper floating out of the hit. I ended up going out to the front, the executive office, and I ran into the number 2 guy of OEM at the time, which was John Odermatt. And I said, you have to come by my area, and I'm showing him what's going on. And he is like, oh my God, what do you think happened? I said, I thought it was a ground-to-air missile. That was my words to him.
So out of the 23rd floor, Rick, did you have a direct line of sight with the North Tower?
Absolutely. That's the plane absolutely flew over 7 World Trade. So John Odermatt, I think he was at the time maybe a full inspector at the time. And he said, get the EOC up and running. And that's when somebody from every agency in New York City will respond to 7 World Trade. And then we have cooperation. So whatever we need, whether it's fire, sanitation, doesn't matter what it is, housing authority. They had a representative there. So all we had to look is down the row and we need this. Okay, I'll get it for you, and that's how New York City ran. We were, I guess, the problem solvers whenever anybody had a problem, whether it was the fire chief, one of the police commanders, or whoever it was, we solved that problem if they couldn't get it. We always usually assigned 1 or 2 people going out to any kind of major incident, and they would be on scene and they would report back to us, and we would make sure we got whatever item they needed, whether it was could be a tow truck or it could be a payloader, it could be a crane, whatever it was, we got it for them.
Rick, you said it very interestingly, you thought it was like a surface to air missile because there was a massive explosion. From my vantage point, I was in Tower 1 when the plane hit. But for me as well, it appeared to be something exploded from where I was able to get out of the elevator. I want to talk more about like what we actually think it was and the subsequent things that we were hearing. Erik, testimony that was given to you by firefighters you've talked to, because it's like 5 a.m. your time when you're seeing all this. We got to take a quick break, and we'll come back and address that. Stay tuned, everybody.
Look, when you need to respond to an aggressive situation to protect yourself, your family, or your property, understanding your firearm and legal position are critical. Officers know your skills are only as good as your commitment to training. So know what you're doing. So when you're in a vulnerable situation, we can count on your response. Whether you're a beginner or a licensed gun carrier, Carry in Texas offers basic firearms training, Texas permitless carry courses, license to carry, and basic 2A courses so you can understand the responsibilities, situational awareness, and learn the technical skill required when you carry your firearm. Go to carryintexas.com to find the right course for you. Join me, former United States Secret Service agent Samantha Horwitz, on the range for beginner basics, LTC prep, and range practice. Go to carryintexas.com today. That's carryintexas.com.
Hey, welcome to a Badge of Honor. Welcome back to a Badge of Honor podcast, this TV show. Jesus, where is my brain going? All this stuff going on in my head.
We got a lot to talk about.
We got a lot going on, man, with John and Sam, with our guest, Erik Lawyer and Rick Bylicki. Rick, before we left, before we broke for commercial, you were talking about how you were assigned to OEM, which is really the hub of any major emergency that happens within New York City. You guys are activated. You were in the OEM, and the plane struck the North Tower. You heard it come over. You thought it was a surface-to-ground missile, and you were in charge, or your group was in charge of setting up and getting everything together for this mass casualty incident or emergency that you didn't really have no idea what it was at that time.
Yes, and obviously the police, fire, EMS, they have their own protocols, but we're there to assist those agencies. So on that day, like I said, I was instructed to make sure the EOC got set up, and telling all the agencies, I don't even recall how many agencies, like 73 agencies, New York City agencies, plus federal and state agencies all come in, and that's where we have the communication. So if I need state police, all I have to do is look down the row and, hey, state police, can you do this for me or whatever? So
now your mindset with this, right? You're getting all this together. Have you see, like, when you look out your window and you see the North Tower, and I
see the North Tower, but I can't imagine that it was a commercial flight going into that. Like I said, in my head, I put it as a ground-to-air missile, and that's what it was in my head. So after that, I go into the EOC, start that running, and the dispatch office is going crazy. Everyone's calling, do you want us in there? Do you want us in there? So I go into the dispatch office to help the 2 or 3 guys that were on duty that day. And next thing you know, I'm talking to the FAA. And the FAA is telling me there's a plane missing. We think it's coming to you, and to make sure NYPD takes their helicopter out of the sky, because we don't know who's legit at this point. So while I'm in there, I give that information to NYPD that the FAA is asking the helicopter to land, but from my understanding, it did not, and probably rightfully so. And then, of course, I'm watching a live feed where the second plane hits the South Tower. And because we had live feeds throughout the whole city.
Okay, so Rick, you're watching it on live feed. You guys are on the 23rd floor. We were below you. New York field office was in 7. A lot of floors below you. Erik, you're watching this unfold from across the country on TV. So you and Rick are kind of watching the same thing as the second plane hits. I'm in the lobby of 7 when the second plane hits. And I'm curious as to what's going through your minds, because for us at the lobby, we couldn't see up to the North Tower or the South Tower. So we didn't know what was going on. We thought it was a coordinated bombing attack. And being OEM, Secret Service, DOD, and other agencies, we were not a public building. I thought that it was a bombing attack and that we were going to be next. Rick, you saw the plane, so obviously you knew it wasn't a bomb.
Well, I never saw the plane. I just saw the explosion,
Okay.
the fireball, and the millions of papers that are flying now in the air. After the second plane hit, the FAA is still saying there's still one more plane unaccounted for, and we don't know if it's coming to you. Obviously, I relayed that information, and that's where Deputy Director Rotans, he goes, okay, let's go over to evacuate the building, and let's go over to the fire command post in the North Tower. So I tell OEM that we're evacuating. He might have used the words evacuate the building, but is really anyone going to listen to us? Especially, Secret Service or the DOD, they're going to do their own thing.
We told security at the lobby, we said, we don't care what your orders are, we're evacuating this building. So you got an order to evacuate from above. We had got your back doing it from below, but we never met on that day. So our building was evacuated.
How many people are usually in Building 7? Because that whole complex was a city in itself between the towers and and all the buildings there. How many people did approximately did Building 7 hold? A couple of thousand, 10,000 top.
Yeah, a couple of thousand.
At least a couple of thousand.
Yeah, at least.
So that's no easy task to evacuate even a few thousand people down stairways and down elevators. It's no easy task.
No, but we did. And Rick, you ended up outside, if I'm correct, not on Vesey Street, but behind, right?
Well, first of all, I ended up over at the North Tower.
Fire Command. Okay.
Myself and Rich Rotans, we crossed over the transverse that's out there, and we're heading towards stepping over bodies because people are jumping at that point. People fell out of the buildings, whatever it was, and we're stepping on bodies to get in there, body parts, and we only get into the lobby of the North Tower, and that's when the South Tower collapsed. God willing, Rich and myself are still here today, and people as close as a foot were just squashed with all the debris that came down from the South Tower, how it just came through the the lobby area. I did end up, there was a cop not too far from me. He goes, my partner was just squished to death. And I ended up helping him out to an ambulance out on Vesey Street. So that's how I got out of the building. And thank goodness I did that move, because not long after that, the North Tower collapsed. And I definitely wouldn't have survived that.
How far away from the North Tower were you when that? Because I know where Vesey is. How far did you have to run further, or because there was that big dust cloud?
Well, I ended up jumping into a doorway when the North Tower started to collapse. I jumped into a doorway, and that's really what saved my life, because all the debris and the smoke and the dust went right by that doorway. So I was probably 300 yards maybe from the North Tower.
Wow. That's not far at all. At
that point.
Yeah.
No. I'm not even sure it was 300 yards, but
now
I was right by 7. So how many yards from the North Tower to 7? So
any place is close, but we all got a first responders mindset. and this is where it gets real technical, because now you go into life-saving mode, right? You go into saving your brothers, your sisters, and saving civilians. All right. So your mind doesn't really react to the complexity of building shape or the way the metal broke, or some people were like, after a couple hours, molten lava, or stuff didn't seem right. Like you said about those food carts. I'm sure it really kind of just left your mind in the beginning, but now you're thinking, why weren't they there? So all these dots are being connected after the fact, because everybody's in a state of hypervigilance during the collapse. And now when everybody's got clearer mindset and they're looking at the pictures and they're thinking about what they had, these dots are really becoming more clear. Correct? Am I off?
Absolutely. It took years for it to actually, 24 years later, I am definitely, there's so many things that don't make sense.
Yeah, one of the things, Rick, that definitely don't make sense and goes to the narrative, we touched a little bit on this, Erik, last week, is that there are so many fire department personnel, the firefighters, that talked about hearing explosions. There's video footage of them talking to news crews, okay? And the footage is still out there. So on 9/11, if you were watching the news, you were hearing, yes, explosions. At one point, you could actually hear off in the distance with what sounded to me clearly like an explosion. And Erik, you have, firsthand witness accounts from firefighters telling you we definitely heard this. This was not out of the ordinary. And then on 9/12, nobody talked about explosions. We saw 1 and 2, everybody was focused on that. And then we see 7, and people start scratching their head like, wait a second, the third building it came down on 9/11? Well, that was World Trade Center 7, where Rick and I worked and where John responded after the collapse. Erik, can you kind of walk us through 7 in terms of the explosions that people were talking about, and then all the way through the collapse? Because John, Rick, and I, being there, we were told it was one thing. We see with our eyes. It can't be what we're being told. It has to be something else.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for that. To start, when I was watching it live, like you were talking about, I saw I didn't see the first plane hit, but I saw the fire in that, hearing reports it's a plane, and then saw the second one come in. So at that point, it became clear it was a terrorist attack. And then that's when I called my chief, like, are we going out? And a lot of us were doing that. Like, are we going? We're trying to, do we get ready now or what? And he kept telling us to stand by. And then later in the day, it's like, we're not going yet. So when I saw that the first day, I saw the explosions. I heard the witnesses of explosions. So to me, it was common sense, because in 1993, they had the bombing of the World Trade Center too. So it basically is, common sense is you're going to test that for explosives. So with John and Rick, all of you being in law enforcement, we don't sit there and sit, basically sit around a table going, well, we're not going to test for this because we don't have witnesses. We're not going to test for this because, like,
Right.
if you don't even have witnesses, we have the history of the 93 bombing. We see what just happened. We're going to test. Like, it's insane that they could make an excuse that we don't even test. I mean, law enforcement going, we're not going to test for gunpowder residue because, whatever, you know what I mean? It's just, that's insane. So what ended up happening was that day they couldn't filter so much. But when I go back and look at those videos now, I see the story being planted. So there were people that were being interviewed and they were saying, it was terrorists. They collapsed because of the fire. So they were seeding in our consciousness immediately. It wasn't the explosions, it was the fire. And that's what caused these collapses. It was just bound to happen. So then when I started researching it in 2008, when I looked at it again, that's what woke me up. A friend mentioned something about money, not related to 9/11, started researching that, but 9/11 kept coming up in the trailer. You know, like YouTube will show you a different video. I kept seeing the trailers. And when I saw Tower 7 again, it was like a switch went off on me, because I remembered that first day. And I was like, it was clearly demolitions. And so that's what ended up happening. So I went and looked. I went to one of our top fire investigators in Seattle and asked, what's the standard here? What do we do? And he said, it's NFPA 921, gave me the manual. And he's like, we need to test for explosives. And what's interesting is in the manual, it even mentions thermite. One of the, you know, one of the things that there's a lot of evidence that shows it was nanothermite that was used in these demolitions. So NIST, well, not just NIST, we don't know who gave the order to destroy the evidence, but within the first day, they were already removing evidence and destroying it. I didn't know they were destroying it. I'm sure Rick and John, you didn't either. None of us did.
We just knew everything was going to the landfill.
Yeah. And then like an airplane crash that's going to be sifted through and looked at later, but it wasn't. And so I trusted the authorities that was properly being investigated, and it was not. It was being recycled and destroyed and sifted through and covered up. So they did the investigation with no physical evidence. And it's the first. Erik,
let me ask you a question through the NIST report. Okay. With the videos going on to those explosions again. We'll hit building 7 in a second on a controlled demolition. Two things I want to ask. I saw a video saying that how could terrorists get into the building and plant all these explosive devices? Then I found out that the security company running both towers and 7 was a son-in-law or a friend of a friend or a cousin who ran that security company for those towers. That, and on the NIST report, where you see the before the towers collapse, you see puffs of smoke coming out maybe 15 to 20 floors below.
Right.
NIST claims it as pressure buildup.
Right.
Which is kind of false. Now, you guys have the technical background better than I do, but I'm just a layman on this. That didn't look like pressure buildup to me.
No.
And John,
those look like explosions through those floor windows.
And if I could just interject, because you talked about the security in the building. Yes. The security, depending on who you talk to, there were some, I'll say not so kosher ties. But at least in 7, I can attest to the elevators being worked on prior to 9/11, because I saw the workers. And of course, it's a 49-story building. Why wouldn't there be regular maintenance? Things you don't think about. And there's eyewitness testimony, or accounts rather, because we need the testimony, saying the same things that they saw in 1 and 2, that the elevators over a month were being worked on. So sorry, go back to the pressure blowing out, because I'm not a fire person, but I saw what you saw. And this before the windows just blowing out.
Before it pancake down, you saw
it didn't pancake.
No, but right. In the video before the collapse, you do see puffs of smoke coming out of windows below. NIST said it was pressure buildup. I mean, I don't believe that. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Well, it matches controlled demolition with squibs, they call them. So it's coming down below. They'd be weakening it. There's several things to think about that a lot of people don't talk about. Is in high rises, there's windows that have markings on them for the fire service. These are windows that are easier to break and that type of thing. If there was any pressure buildup, that's to me where those things would be coming out, not in a line where the columns are. The other thing is that building was disintegrating above as it's coming down. If there's pressure, it's going to be released through the top as it's coming down. It's not going to go through floors and everything else 15 floors below and create that pressure. It's just there's no plunger there. It's being disintegrated.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, there's nothing to create the pressure other than explosives.
Rick, your thoughts?
Similar to that, but there was just so many, like even today, we're coming up with more questions than answers. It is just ridiculous that we have to have this narrative and having this discussion 24 years later. But I do agree with what both of your summation is.
Well, Rick, you also after 7 was evacuated, correct me if I'm wrong, you went to try to get back into 7. Do I have that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so when we come back from our next break here, we're going to talk about why you couldn't get back into 7 World Trade and kind of the mystery surrounding that. So we will be right back after this break. Hey, everybody. It's time to talk about John and my favorite thing, which is coffee. And at East Texas Legends Coffee Company, which is founded by Ben and Amanda Holmes, it reflects her journey from Ben's Marine Corps service and law enforcement career, overcoming PTSD, to finding purpose in ranching. Relocating to an East Texas ranch, they identified a need for a local coffee brand. Now they're opening their first coffee shop in Lindale, Texas, rooted in faith, family, and community. Their mission: inspire purposeful conversations over coffee. Drink coffee, be legendary. And right now you can go, I'll put up the link here. You can go to etxlegendscoffee.com, use promo code BADGE, and get 15% off your entire order. That goes for all the coffee as well as all the awesome swag that they have on there. So all the coffee, all the products, etxlegendscoffee.com. Use promo code BADGE on checkout, get 15% off. We love it. We drink it every single day, and life's too short to be ordinary. So why not be legendary? So cheers, everybody.
Cheers.
Well, welcome back to A Badge of Honor TV show with John and Sam. We have Erik Lawyer and Rick Bylicki, firefighter and NYPD and OEM. We're discussing seeking the truth for 9/11 because so many people deserve the truth. And what we're recapping now is, Rick, you were in Building 7. You started the OEM. You had to evacuate. There was a mass evacuation out of Building 7. You got caught in the collapse of the South Tower, and now you are attempting to get back into Building 7 after both towers have fallen.
Well, I guess there's a little bit of, time discrepancy.
Okay.
I'm trying to get back into, after I brought a guy out to the ambulance, the North Tower did not collapse yet.
Okay.
So I am trying to get back into 7. And at that point, I try and get back into 7, and I'm basically refused entry. I identify myself as an NYPD sergeant. I work on the 23rd floor, and they're telling me, we don't care who you are. You're not coming back in this building.
Who are these people? Who are these people?
It was somebody in a, I'm going to say he was a Fed. I can't recall what kind of, he definitely had a flak jacket or a vest on, and I'm going to say it said one of the particular agencies on it, and which one it was, I just don't recall 24 years later.
But he had it was a little bit intimidating, Rick, because in addition to the flak jacket, heavy duty, he also had
either a machine gun or a assault rifle, and I'm carrying a 5-shot pea shooter, basically.
Right.
And I had, except what he's offering me, you can't come in here. So
now, for our layman audience that's listening, for people that don't understand the absolute chaos that was going around during that time, we just had the South Tower collapse, right? People are all over. You wouldn't think that a building would become fortified by an agency during that chaos. That would usually happen a little bit after things are a little bit more calmed down and controlled. But with chaos, that the usage of manpower to keep people out of that building while rescue operations are still in place.
right.
is very,
It's
very
odd.
suspect. It's very suspect to me.
It's very strange. And, you know, Rick, again, you worked in that building. I worked in that building, and you and I both agree. We never saw any kind of pseudo military presence before that day.
Well, the only thing that, not that there was military presence.
No, I said pseudo
right.
military. Yeah.
The only thing I could say is days prior to that. So this was a Tuesday. So I'm going to say probably Thursday and Friday of the week before. I was in John Odermatt's office there, and I said, something's definitely going on. Could it have been Wednesday? I don't know. Prior to that, I said, something's definitely going on. I've never saw so many different Port Authority police people. You know, they have a highway, they had motorcycles, they had every truck and car going into any of the underground parking areas. They were mirrored and dogged. And it was just, if your car was left out on the street more than 2 minutes unoccupied, that was being towed. It was, we all kind of knew something was going on, but Port Authority denied it because he called over the Port Authority while I was in his office, and they were like, no, everything's going good. You know, so that was definitely a lie, you know, in my opinion.
Lots of strange things. We were preparing for the 50th anniversary, like a big UN summit that was happening the following week. So, you know, there are just these things that we all saw and experienced that really didn't add up. And Rick, thank you for that. And it's
Let me just add one more thing, Sam, on that.
Yeah, let's keep talking. Yeah, we got one more minute, then we got to take a commercial.
Yeah, Rick, because OEM plays such a major role in all disasters within New York, they are the main body, the you know, they are the main body of any kind of disaster or huge large scale emergency, and the drills that go on within the city. Now, I heard, could be speculation, could be rumor, whatever. There were drills going on from NORAD that said they were going to run some different exercises that day, or they were planning on exercises. And I know some stuff is confidential, so you don't have to answer. But was OEM ever notified of any national drills or NORAD drills or airline drills or any of these drills going on within the confines of New York City?
I mean, is it possible? Absolutely. You know, I was a worker bee. You know, I wasn't administrative or executive level in the pecking order. So, I mean, could it have been? It could very well have been, but did not recall hearing anything like that.
I just saw some videos saying that they were running drills on drones flying into buildings and planes flying into buildings, and that kind of all went by the wayside. Now, 24 years later, now it's all coming up. Unarmed jet fighters went the wrong way for some reason. So there's a lot of. We
had the closest. You know, and please excuse us because John, we're not military background, but we had the closest fighter jets available to assist and to intercept were sent away from
unarmed
the area to do an exercise. So, you know, you can read into that. We got to take our last quick break. When we come back, we want to tell people where they can start their own examination and their own journey into looking into not only all of 9/11, but start with Building 7, because we are here. Me, John, Rick, we all were right there. And we can tell you that, and Erik, you're the expert watching this from afar, saying this building did not come down because it was damaged by fire. We know that. I saw the front of 7. There's no way that those pocket fires took down an
Room
entire
and
building.
contents burned out.
Exactly the way it was. So got to take our last break. We'll be right back, everybody.
Rise and vibe with your new elevated morning ritual. Meet Rise by Frequency. Frequency charged nutrition. Rise is formulated with a blend of 7 different organic mushrooms, B vitamins, amino acids, and green coffee bean extract. Rise supports brain health, performance, and focus while enhancing mood, mental clarity, and energy. Enjoy the delicious mango lemonade flavor while giving your mind the nutrients it needs. Get charged up with Rise. Fuel your body and mind today.
Okay, you hear it every week. It's you rise and vibe with me and John. Rise is probably the best energy drink I have ever had. And yeah, I've had them all. So say no to all that sugar and all that chemical garbage in all most of what you get in your convenience stores and what's on the shelves. Say yes to healthy energy. You heard 7 different mushrooms, all organic. And this is sustained energy throughout the day. There is no crash. You're not going to be finding yourself going back over and over and over again. It is thoughtfully designed to support your clarity, mood, and calm energy wherever you are in your health journey. Grab some Rise today. We made it super easy. Go to abadgeofhonorhealth.com. We put together some packages. Subscribe and save today. abadgeofhonorhealth.com. Now back to the show. So Erik, where can people find out more information or really start their journey on understanding everything that we're talking about today?
Perfect. Thanks, Sam. Yeah, if they go to 911 Firefighters, it's on my name there, 911firefighters.org, and watch Calling Out Bravo 7. So it's the documentary Paul Cayley did. He's part of our organization and worked with several firefighters. But that seems to be the documentary that's waking up more first responders than anything else, because we stick with the facts, we stick with Tower 7, and you'll just see it. And then on our website also under resources, we have documentaries. So we have some that we've highlighted there that aren't ours, but we'll start giving them a bigger picture. So I'd suggest going slow in a way, do it with the facts, see what's there to see. And once you start seeing it, now there's more questions. We also have another documentary that Paul did called Beyond Bravo 7. That gets more into how does this happen? The other thing I want to land, there's 2 more things I want to land is there's a guy named Chase Hughes. I don't know if you know who he is. He's, I think he worked with CIA and mind control stuff. He's done an incredible job on 2 videos recently, the most current one's on Charlie Kirk, but he's really showing how the mind control works. And that's the only way we're really going to transcend this. All the facts, figures don't do anything. If we keep falling for these things, right, we're stuck in the loop. So it's like, not just learn what's happening, but also realize that we do have the power to become aware of how the psyops are working. And that's what 9/11 was a massive psyop. And the final thing is there are several organizations. We hosted an event in Washington, D.C., and we met with Senator Ron Johnson, Congressman Weldon. They all spoke there. So it's called Turning the Tide, and we'll have videos out on that also. We'll be putting them on the website so people can see those. But the tide is turning. More people are willing to look, politicians, and we're working with Johnson, several organizations, to bring Senate hearings forward. So he's giving us our marching orders, and he's wanting us to put together, do what his staffers would do to help bring these to hearings. So there is forward progress, and I'm not looking to the hearings to give us what we want, but we want to raise awareness. The more awareness and realize we are being mind controlled and psyoped, then we can transcend this. And that's where we can change it, because we, the people, don't do this.
Right. And I do believe Senator Ron Johnson, Kurt Weldon was already on Tucker.
Right.
Tucker Carlson, and Ron Johnson, I believe he might be the first interview with Tucker that is going to be released starting tomorrow. So it's a 5-part series. Yes. Yeah. And you've got that portion of that on your website. So guys, we were there, me, Rick, and John, we were there. We know stuff didn't happen the way they told us that it happened. Erik has the evidence. Last week you heard from Raul. We have the evidence. We are evidence-driven people. So once your eyes are open, once your ears can hear, please follow the trail for yourself. And that's all we ask. But be open-minded. Rick, you have been an incredible shining light on 7, on what you experienced that day. For me, John and Erik, we are so happy that you are still with us, that you gave the testimony that you did, that you put the truth out there, that people need to understand what we were sold was a narrative that absolutely is not true. And we demand justice for our fallen brothers and sisters, and for those that continue to suffer the health effects. And we demand justice and the truth for the families. 100%. So once again, thank you for Erik for coming back on this week. Rick, thank you for joining us tonight. And there's a lot more to talk about. We will be doing a part 3 to this. I believe it's going to be in November. Raul's going to come back. We're going to do more science and engineering, and just keep doing the amazing work that you're doing. Rick, keep speaking your truth. Keep talking to the guys that you were there with on that day, because we're a kindred group. There's not a lot of us out there that are coming together we just need to hold the people accountable that caused all of this stuff, all of our PTS journeys, our stress journeys, everything that we went through.
Our medical journeys. There,
Yeah.
with over 50,000 cases of 9/11 cancer that is out there. Those families are battling, they're suffering, they're incapacitated, their lives have been ruined, their family lives have been ruined. They deserve it. And we need the public to step up and support those families that are still battling. We lost a lot, but we don't have to lose anymore. So make sure you get onto 9/11 firefighters.org. Whoops, I love my phone. Firefighters911.org and support, help, and use your best judgment with the facts that you see.
And volunteer.
Yes.
Sign up to volunteer.
Yeah, everybody, first responders, are creating a firefighter and first responder alliance and civilian, because for these Senate hearings, we need to have the public pressure, especially from first responders there. The senators asked for that. So if you just give us your name, and we'll let you know as we move closer to these things.
Absolutely.
So,
well, Erik, Rick,
Are we out of time or?
thank you so much. And I know you and John will be talking more. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. We'll be in touch.
Take care, guys.
Well, thank
it was
you,
a pleasure.
Rick.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Wow. Rick was, when I heard about that armed person from an agency that wouldn't allow him back into the building in which he worked, there's just so much.
The one thing I got to say is these two men, along with Raul, the courage
and
they have.
Rep Weldon, yeah.
Yep,
Kurt
the
Weldon.
courage they have to open up and speak their mind, is so commendable, because they're speaking out for the thousands and thousands of first responders and veterans and civilian personnel that deserve answers. And I commend them all on having their voice and using their voice to bring justice.
Absolutely. It takes courage. Yes, courage to go against the narrative. And that's exactly what we're doing. And we're going to keep talking about it. So thank you all for joining us tonight. If whatever platform you're watching us on, and I think Instagram is working. Hey, Instagram family, please like and subscribe for Instagram. We are trying to hit that 1,000 followers mark, so this broadcast is never interrupted. Again, please, please, please follow us over on Instagram. We want a special thank you to everybody who donated to us for North Texas Giving Day. Your contributions are going directly to support first responders on their wellness and resiliency journey. You can find out where we are in terms of helping everybody out there by visiting the events tab, and it'll show you if it's a private event. Sorry, you can't register. That means the department's bringing us in. Our next public meaning open to all first responders, active first responders. Our next open workshop will be in December. The registration will go up for that in the next coming weeks. So be on the lookout for that. And you want, if you're an active first responder, you want to be in that 8-hour workshop. If you're a peer support, assigned to peer support in your department, or you lead the peer support in your department, check out our peer support leadership training. Both are TCOL certified for the police officers. And, you know, it is doing a show like this in the midst of everything that has been going on since before 9/11, all the way up to yesterday's memorial service, knowing that there are so many more questions than answers. And we need to keep asking the questions. It doesn't matter what the topic is. There's so many of them that we can now see. The public can now see. It's like, that's not true. So keep asking questions. Be courageous. Get out there. Don't take the narrative for narrative's sake. Okay. We have eyes. We have ears. You think something's off. Your gut says something's off. It's probably because it is. So we want to thank all the first responders out there for putting their lives on their line in their communities every single day, answering our the calls of our worst day. And so we have prayer warriors praying for your safe return each night off your shift or each day. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for protecting our communities. To our veterans out there, thank you for fighting the good fight that allow John and I to do a show like this every single week. To our active duty personnel spread out across the globe, thank you for what you are doing. We pray for your safe return to our shores, but thank you for keeping our nation safe. John, take us home.
Well, the only thing I can say is don't ever let anybody cancel your voice. I am Charlie. Peace.
We are Charlie.
We are Charlie.
Peace. Till next week, everybody.
A Badge of Honor podcast is produced for the OBBM Network podcast and protected under copyright law. For content permissions, please submit your request to abadgeofhonor.com on the content page. For OBBM Network programming information, please call 214-714-0495 today.